Rob, do you wanna kick us off?
Well, you go ahead and start the show, Todd. Let's formally start it, and I could certainly. I don't think we've 100% agreed what we're going to do
We're
here,
just
but
we're just playing this
we
by ear.
yeah.
All
So
right, so
we got a couple of
all right, hang on.
fun little clips. Okay,
Let's
you
do
ready?
Welcome to the New Media Show, where each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, UTC +4, Todd Cochran and Rob Greenlee take their over 30 combined years of leadership in the podcasting space to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct the current podcasting news, forecasts, trends, and predictions. Now here are your hosts, Academy of Podcasting Hall of Famers, Todd Cochran and Rob Greenlee.
Rob?
With Todd and Rob. Oh yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to the New Media Show. Welcome, Rob. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, Todd. It's great to be back. We had a little bit of a fun jingle there. That was a little bit of fun. Thanks to a listener, Lee LaPuke wrote us and gave us lots of feedback and shared some audio with us too. I appreciate that, Lee.
Yeah, great. We definitely appreciate it. We have some more too. We'll hold them off till later because we don't want to jingle you to death, but we have some fun ones, and some of you have had specific jingles made for when we talk about you. So
right. So we'll probably more formalizedly use these in a more organized way as you look to the future. But yeah, we've got a couple of other little sound clips. Todd alluded to it too, making fun of a couple of significant listeners out there.
So in the afternoon to everyone, welcome to the New Media Show. Yes. And Rob, hey,
there's nothing going on.
Nothing going on.
Just pack it in. This was definitely not the right week to cut back to once a week, right?
Yeah, because I was laughing on Saturday. I said, we could probably had a pretty good show today if we'd have done one because there was enough that happened from Wednesday of last week. But anyway, wow, Apple was, I was watching the Apple event yesterday. And Tim Cook comes on and he, is walking through the campus. And, man, he dropped right into the Apple podcast announcement, like boom. I mean, like within the first 5 minutes, and of course, emails and meetings and everything else under the sun immediately popped up, and so here we go.
Right. Yeah, well, it's amazing how the opportunity of revenue will spike up the conversation a little bit on the Apple side.
And I think their website crashed too.
Yeah, I think that this is a move that they should have made probably a few years ago. But I guess I'm glad it's here. It's an interesting evolution of the Apple podcast area, and I think bringing in some revenue into the coffers is good for solidifying our place over there with Apple too. So as they've been building out their team, they need to justify that a little bit. And I think this is this rides along with that. I think we're looking more under the covers here, but on the surface, I think it's good to have a spectrum of options for podcasters. And that's what this represents.
At the cost of 30% of your revenue, but
right. But that's expected from Apple, right?
So here's the interesting thing is that Luminary and others that have pay models already have basically said immediately we're putting all our shows on and making them available, pay per listen or subscription based or whatever they're going to be called. I got a speaker turned on in the other room, Rob. So if you want to kind of exclude, I'll jump over there and turn that off real quick.
Well, I do think as they should, and I think this, Apple has now planted a flag in the ground that premium podcasts is here and a significant entry option for content creators looking forward. And so I think we will see a lot of the other larger platforms follow suit with comparable programs. So I think those that want to monetize this way are going to have to replicate this process with Apple a few more times across a few more of the big podcast listening platforms. I think as you look to the future, who knows how long it's going to take for a Spotify to do a similar thing. They've been doing a little bit of this to some degree, I think, but certainly not at the scale that Apple is doing. But I also thought, Todd, it was interesting that Apple's asking those that are participating in this program to pay a $19.99 fee per country, right? And I wasn't exactly sure, and maybe you got this detail too. Was it $19.99 to be available in one country, or is it $19.99 if you're in one country and available to all the countries? Or is it, I wasn't really clear on that.
I'll find out at 5:00 tomorrow.
Well,
because that's a question
Apple's
I have too.
Putting on a special kind of presentation, right?
Well, they're doing the presentation, and we're having a one-on-one with one of the team members too. So I think that what I would suspect it'll be $19.95 per country because there's a different store for every country. Right. So I don't think it's going to be $19.95 globally, but it could have been $99.95 because that's usually the entry point for app developers and everyone else. So $19.95 to get going. And if that's annually, that's not a big step for someone. But another thing that's unique is you will upload your premium content via Wave or FLAC to which is M4A to Apple, and then they will host the premium content. You'll get no stats back to your hosting provider. It will be strictly on Apple's platform, and you'll probably get some statistics in their dashboard. But this is, and what this really does, and what the challenge is for some of these companies that are out there right now that are going to be competing with them is, all these companies have had quote unquote, and I'm going to say this because we did the study, they have quote unquote secure feeds, and they're very, very susceptible to, we when we offered our private podcasting solution, we talked to customers, says, here's the risk at this security level, and then step up through authentication types. So what that really eliminates is you will be essentially guaranteed that no one is going to get access to your content that is not authorized or who is not paid. So someone's not going to be able to share an RSS feed and a username password to get access to this content.
Well, Todd, they're actually using DRM, digital rights management control of the media file, which has a ironic history. If we think about it, Todd, this is exactly what the Audible folks tried to do back in 2000. I think it was 2005, 2006. Was trying to wrap DRM around MP3 files back in the early days of the medium, and it failed at that point.
Well, this is a little different.
No, it
different
is.
Time.
It's using the same technology. I thought it was interesting that we've come back to that.
So,
to some degree.
In the end, just like one of our security levels, we can encrypt the media on the device, and it has to be re-authenticated. So DRM follows some of the same features. We're working with banks and other people that have super critical information they're sharing with their employees that only their employees can get. And if that information got out to a third party, then all hell would break loose because it's SEC and all this other stuff that goes on. So we're not talking about that level. What we're talking about is just the same type of values or same type of protection music would get. So, but what happens next and here's the thing, is Apple has really drew the line in the sand because every one of the other platforms are now going to have to do this. Why? Okay, because I'm going to tell, if I have premium content, I'm going to tell my audience, you got to go over to Apple to get it. You listen through the Apple Podcast app. drives more Apple Podcast app utilization, or maybe wherever this is going to reside. We don't know where this is going to reside yet. If it's going to be on Apple Podcasts, I'm assuming it's going to be. And this premium content is not available on Spotify. It's not available on Amazon Music. It's not available on Pandora. It's not available here.
Right.
So it's a good play because now, and so I heard somebody screaming already, Spotify, hurry up. And I kind of laughed just a little bit. But what this does is tells hosts, because if you're going to get the premium content on Apple Podcasts, you might as well listen to the regular show on Apple Podcasts. So winner, chicken dinner, they win by being first. Now, if Spotify catches up, then you can put the same content on those other,
repurpose it on other,
not even repurpose it,
platforms.
to use the same exact content on other platforms with other subscription models. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, so I think what we're going to see is the other players jump on this. Not unlike what's happening between, the switch from subscription to follow, right? Now subscription has its true meaning. It's a paid content.
So what this really does for Luminary is puts an axe in their platform. Because now they're still going to make revenue, but Apple's going to get 30% of that cut, and it's going to have to be over there. So Luminary may have to change their game, because who's going to go over there on their app or they're going to have to sweeten the pot. They're going to have to say, okay, for $6 a month or for $5 a month, you can listen to or $20 a month, you can listen to our entire lineup, or you have to pay $3 for each show each month on the other platform. But I think the bigger piece of this for the podcasters that are listening that they're going to have to think about is, do I do premium? Do I start a premium content channel?
Right. Bonus content is what I'm hearing people talk about, not so much that they're going to convert their existing show.
But that comes with
this point.
That comes with the same type of requirements as now. What they've really done is they've cut a hole in Patreon too. So what this really does, though, for a podcaster, you're really going to have to think long and hard about making.
Patreon's the one that gets impacted by this, I think, in the most in the short run.
In the short run, I think so too.
Right.
But the premium, though, you have to have a big enough audience, number one. So, okay, you commit to doing, and we've talked about this on the show. This is nothing new. This is in the archives, in the PhD of everything in this show. So it's, you can go back and we've talked about this, but if you are a NPR or someone like that has big audiences, this makes a good play. Number two, if you want to produce ad-free content, so you don't want to listen to 5 pre-rolls and 3 mid-rolls and 2 post-rolls, then you're going to be able to get a show maybe ad-free if you so choose not to want to listen to the ads. The third option is, as an individual podcaster, you are now going to have to determine how much money can I earn. Let's say I'm sure it's going to be on a monthly subscription basis. So let's say it's $3 or $4 or $5 a month.
Well, Apple's doing annual and monthly.
Okay, so here's another. Okay, this is even a bigger thing. You commit to doing 2 shows a month that are going to be premium on top of your free shows. Now, let's say you commit to that, you sign up, you get everything up, and someone goes in there and they pays their $3 or $5 or whatever you set for pricing per month, or $60 a year, whatever it is, and they pay $60. You, for one listener, you're now committed to 24 episodes.
Yep.
You have to do it. And what if you only get 1, 2, 3, 5, 10? What's the value? How many how many of those do you have to make it worth your time to do premium? I think that
Right.
number for me to do a premium episode right now, if I was to start doing premium episodes, I think I would have to want to make a minimum of at least $500 an episode. So can my audience, so if I'm doing 2 episodes a month, extra premium,
Mhm.
if I can get $1,300 worth of subscriptions, that's $1,000 back to me, or yes, roughly, after Apple takes their cut, it's 30% less to get to $1,000, whatever that number is. That's what I would, and if I don't get to it, how do you get there? Well, you're going to have to put in time to get there and promote the crap out of it on your public show. So that's a lot of $3 or $4 or $5 a month subscriptions to get to to $1,000 a month or $1,000 a month in revenue to do. Now maybe you think it's worth it for $100. You got to set your number. What is your time what are you worth?
Well, then that plays right into what we were saying earlier, Todd, is that in order to make this work, it's got to scale. It's got to
Right.
scale across all the listening platforms, which is going to put pressure on all the listening platforms to deploy something. The other question is Apple going to enable the ability to somehow listen to this content in some sort of external player that you log into with Apple ID, or is there going to be some other way that they can share this with the content creator, or is it just going to be in their app?
I would, if I'm Apple, it's in my app only,
Right.
and
Yeah.
maybe
No,
available via Apple TV, within their ecosystem. If you're authorized I can tell SIRI to play music on Apple Music right now that I've subscribed to. I pay the, whatever it is, a monthly plan for Apple Music. So
yeah. So how does this change the model for like a Luminary or a network that is publishing, high quality shows
mhm.
that maybe they want to dabble around in this? I mean, how does this change things? I mean, if you do this just for Apple, your opportunity may be dramatic. Well, I shouldn't say
Well,
dramatically less,
it's
but less than if it was available across all your distribution, right? And that's the question.
right now, today,
Right.
if Todd and Rob decide to do a premium new media show, it's on Apple Podcasts.
Right now, yeah.
That's
Right.
it. That's it. So, but
the reason for that is, and it's not like there isn't other platforms that exist to do this. There certainly is. The problem that's existed is getting to the content, right? Like Lipson's been offering private premium
right.
podcasts for years now.
Yep.
But you have to get, like your own app, and
Well,
you have to.
no, not
There's some limitations there that are less advantageous. Getting this built into Apple puts it right in front of the vast majority of potential listeners, which is a different situation.
So
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to launch a private show for my contributors at Geek News Central. I'm not promising frequency. They're already paying me by PayPal. So what I will be providing them with is two places where they can get the show: on a public web app where they log in, a username, password, and they can subscribe via any podcast app where they enter their username, password. Now, I've so decided that I know someone could share that username and password to be able to authenticate on another device and get access to that content. But
Yeah.
it's a small enough group. I'm not really worried about that getting out.
Right.
And they are paying for the privilege to get access to that insider, what I'm calling it insider. They're going to get a little insider of more stuff than I talk about me on the show. So, and it's really not going to be bonus content. It's just going to be Todd talking turkey.
Mhm.
So I could and maybe will put that same content on Apple Podcast and, put it up there
Mhm.
for a couple bucks a month. And who
Right.
knows, maybe someone will subscribe to it. But I think a luminary, it's a different situation. This is their
Yeah.
business model. This is how they eat and pay the bills. Everything is premium. So for them, well, we haven't begun tracking on our own platform. So they immediately announce that they'll be putting all their shows on Apple Podcasts, which tells me
Right.
they have to survive. So,
Well, I think they see a greater opportunity over there. Might be the other way
I'm
of looking
sure.
at it.
Of course, it's
Right.
hey, Rob.
Right.
Every dollar you earn, it's new revenue, new access ways to get revenue.
That doesn't mean that they're going to take down what they have off of their own website and their own transaction engine.
No. Because guess what? It only costs 3-4% to process a credit card. So if you're doing an annual for $60 and you do it's $1.80 and you make $58 profit, or you net $58 on that annual subscription, that's not going to be the same amount you're going to earn over at Apple. It's going to be considerably less. And don't forget, this is all taxable income too. So you just remember that. So you're going to pay Apple 30%, and then whatever you earn. Let's say you earn $1,000. If you are in the 18% tax bracket as a taxpayer, that's another $180 that you're going to have to pay Uncle Sugar from that earnings, and you're going to be left $800. So, or not actually, if the check from Apple comes at $1,000,
Right.
So, no one there's only one person I've ever heard that wasn't happy about making more money, and it was a doctor that was doing an advertising deal, earning $20,000 per episode, and his partners got pissed because it was being a big impact to their financial line of their thing. Can you imagine Rob telling someone that worked for you that, hey, you need to stop your podcast because you're making too much money? I've never heard of such a thing.
That's not a common conversation.
No, but this guy was the top 10 neurosurgeon in the United States, so he probably was already making, and I'm sure he had stuff tax sheltered out, and all of a sudden $200,000 new income that maybe they couldn't tax shelter. These people that make a lot of money, they don't pay much taxes because they have smart accountants.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be an interesting situation to watch. The audience is being real quiet. You guys are all here. Make sure you check in and say hello on Facebook. Come on now. But I think average podcaster is going to be like, okay, so yes, you've got private podcasting. We've had private podcasting. We never thought, from all our market studies, we never thought that this would be a product that an individual podcaster would use. We knew this was more of a corporate play, that for corporate communications. So from our positioning, we're still good with our private podcasting solution. It's our marketing doesn't change because we never really went after premium bonus content. Yeah, we'd know there we'd get some of that.
Right.
But
it's a little different. Premium's a little bit different than private podcasting, but it's just missing the transaction.
Premium you get paid for, okay?
Right.
And you've set up some sort of transactional thing to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Private is the company is paying they're paying their bill and they're doing private podcasts.
Yeah, it's locked down.
Yeah, it's locked down distribution. Right. And the same thing with premium, it's locked down distribution. The only added component is, and we didn't add a monetization component. If you collect your own money the way you want, PayPal, Square, Stripe, whatever it may be. And there's enough integration with Stripe out there that a podcaster with just a minimal amount of skills can set up a Stripe account and collect money. PayPal, heck, we've got a PayPal link on New Media Show. Go ahead and hit it right now.
Well, and there's a lot more people collecting money from Stripe that are involved in audio right now, because that's the platform that Clubhouse is using. So for tips,
yeah,
I've been
Stripe
getting
is
tips,
easy. You know, it's
tips into my my Clubhouse.
if you have a
Stripe
WordPress
account.
site, there's a
Yeah.
plug-in for Stripe to integrate financial
Right.
transactions. But same thing with PayPal.
Right.
So if you don't have to put your content on Apple, and there's probably only two reasons that you wouldn't do that. One, maybe you want a closer connection with the person that is subscribed to you, because you're not going to get that user information. You're not going to know that John Smith or Jane Smith from Tulsa, Oklahoma is subscribed to your premium episode.
Apple's not sharing that
Then,
data.
no, you're not going to know who. So you're going to have to figure that out yourself by doing some sort of, funnel. And number two, you're giving them 30% for the first, I think 30% the first year, 15% the second year.
Right.
So, but, I think the way that works is everyone that signs up the first year, you get 30%. Everyone that signs up the second year, I don't think that percentages change, that it drops to 15, but, we'll have to ask the Apple people how that works. Does it all revert to 15%, or does that first year subscriber stay at 30? It kind of makes sense if it did, but who knows?
And also got the impression that the guest and host data now has more public access now, as far as being able to input that in. I thought, no?
Someone took a picture, because it was someone did a screen cap of the Apple presentation.
Mm-hmm. I guess we'll find out more tomorrow.
And my guess is that's a no, because I think that's still invite only. Now, I've got privy to some other information by another company that I can't share on the show. And if that company has made that partnership work, maybe the authentication of guests will be opened up. But I don't know if that's happened or not.
Yeah. Well, Todd, it seems like everybody's getting into the audio space now.
Oh,
aren't they?
and by the way, I did have an interesting phone call with a certain group that you've talked to already. Matter of fact, I know that you've talked to them, and you know that now that I've talked to them.
There's always a steady flow of that. Todd,
there is
going on, right?
So,
all sorts of stuff going on.
So I
especially like the new ranking charts that the Spotify put out. I just wanted to mention that. I thought it was interesting.
Oh,
but anyway,
I haven't even looked at them. What's interesting about the chart?
Well, they're it's the effort to try and show and highlight rankings on this supposedly platform that's as big as Apple's now, right?
Uh-huh.
So. and then things have been moving in Spain too. I don't know if we mentioned this. It's basically about the eBox platform in Barcelona. I don't know if that's where they're based. I think they're based there, but they've built an ad marketplace. So one of the laggards of what's been going on in advertising is that the outside the U.S. market has been pretty slow to develop. So it's good to see some movement around some ad marketplaces outside of the U.S. Around podcasting. And then, of course, we have to talk about, to some degree anyway, and I think it's still coming out, Facebook seems like they might want to get into podcasting.
Well,
somehow.
It looks like they're doing it via Spotify, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's
So
the easiest path, right? That's the easiest path.
Does that mean Facebook is getting ready to buy Spotify?
That's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm. Because when they do those types of tight integrations, that's usually a sign that, hey, we like each other. Let's do some integrations and see how we work together. Then,
Yeah, and then bite.
then they get
The
bought.
mouth opens up
You
and
know,
swallows. Yes.
so
Yes.
I would not. I
Yeah, I
would
think we
not.
saw that happen some degree with Anchor, between Anchor and Spotify in the early days too.
So
Remember?
yeah, I don't know if I want to be. Ooh, I don't know if I'd want to be part of that ride to get swallowed by Facebook. You know
Right.
that's definitely an interesting piece. But Rob, I don't like. We'll say it for the 1 trillionth time on the show. I don't care where they listen, as long as they listen. And if I can listen to a podcast in the background while I'm surfing Facebook and getting fed all kinds of stuff that's not good for my brain, maybe it's good.
I mean, what's interesting is that each of these platforms is going to come at the market a little bit different, right? So, and it's bringing a lot of, to some degree, it's bringing some innovation. You know, Todd, you and I are getting pushed to the limit on trying to keep up with everything that's going on in this space, because there's, these big companies come in and they throw a lot of resources at stuff, and it gets complicated fast.
They say, well, we're going to launch this date. And I'm like, great, I can put you on the schedule to get you, let's say September.
I'll slot you into my roadmap.
And I told one company, we have now got a 5-page document
Right.
that we give any company. As a matter of fact, if you're listening and you're thinking about entering the podcasting space and you want to learn how to integrate and scale up quickly, drop me an email. And I will send this document to you that tells you best practices about integrating and becoming essentially a directory. Maybe it's app or whatever. And I'm going to just be fair forefront. Any of you that are listening, if you hear of anyone that is saying they are going to start integrating to podcasting through API, and I find out that you thought that was a great idea, I'm going to punch you in the face. It needs to be where if you're going to launch in the podcasting space, you have a page like Apple.
Right.
Because we get into these situations where adoption is slowed down, growth is slowed down, your platform is going to get slowed down because you want us to send all this data via API. You present the terms of service. You take the podcaster's information. You make them a dashboard where they can go and get cool information from you. Now, if you want to make something available back to us, fantastic. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy. Oh, we're going to do an API. No, please go back to your team and beg them not to do an API. Because I tell them, I said, in 6 months, you're going to be building a portal.
Right.
I've gotten us off topic here, but
well, I think most of the newer platforms that have come into the space have taken that thought process.
Well, most of them.
More I think about it. Yeah.
Not everyone's done.
Well, not everyone,
right.
But I'm just saying a lot of the big platforms that have come into the space have had that, and it comes from talking with folks like you and I.
That's right.
And Rob Walsh.
That's right, because we all tell them
other people out there.
Because I got to now. I have to assign a dev. We have to have meetings.
Right.
We have to have integration discussions. We have to share tokens. We have to get user. All kinds of crazy stuff has to happen. Legal. Yep. Just give me a link. Give me a URL. I'll pass you their RSS feed in the link. That's easy. Just give us a link to give the podcasters. Because I told him, I said, oh, here we go. This is what's going to happen if you don't put up a public website. You're going to get talked to.
Don't eat me, James Cridland.
You're going to get talked about and reported by.
Don't eat me, James Cridland.
And this guy's gonna have something to say about it too.
Don't eat me, James Cridland.
Don't eat me, Tom Webster. Don't eat me, Tom Webster.
They're gonna say, how come this is only available via 1 or 2 platforms?
Right. That's true.
We're not worried. Some of this, I think, is partly, and you guys don't do this, but there is one podcast hosting company says, oh, we get you here, 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 here. And they make it like it's a big secret. Like, I can get you on Amazon. I can get you on Apple. I
Right.
can get you on Spotify. We can do that. And then I have a conversation with them. I said, RSS feeds are created equal. You can be on
Right.
all those platforms. Doesn't matter if you host with Blueberry, Libsyn, Podbean,
Right.
Square, whoever.
There's nothing special.
There's
about it,
nothing
right.
special, but we make it sound like it's so special in
It's a
our marketing
one-click
speak.
thing.
Speaking of interviews,
Yes.
I'm scheduled to do an interview sometime maybe this week or I haven't seen the meeting invite come back yet. They want to talk to me about the history of podcasting.
Yeah, that kind of stuff comes up regularly.
So
doesn't it? Yeah.
I get to share my version.
Yeah, your version. It is the version, Todd. It isn't your version, right?
It's true.
It's
Yeah.
the version, but that has been up for debate lately, hasn't it? What version? Will the real version please step up?
Don't eat
Yeah.
me, James Cridland.
There's going to be so many situations where we can use those buttons.
So anyway,
Yeah.
but we're having too much fun with it. People are going to be complaining about these clips. Stop.
I could see in James's newsletter tomorrow. It's the headline: "Don't eat me, James Cridland."
So I think what we really, I'm very proud of Apple for stepping up.
Yeah.
It's
No, I think it's
it's
been
over.
something that they needed to do for a while.
It's
I
overdue.
yeah.
It's overdue.
So I think it's good. It's good, and it does seem like that they're doing it in a pretty good way. I mean, I have to say,
Yeah.
They're looking out for their interests at the same time. They're respecting the podcasters'
Yeah.
interests as well. Even though we have seen, ever since this announcement, a certain amount of podcasts have been disappearing from the catalog over there. Actually, I believe this show disappeared earlier today.
What?
So, yeah, and hopefully it'll come back here.
Hold on
soon.
here. How did that happen?
I guess podcasts have been randomly dropping out, just disappearing. We've been hearing reports about it for a few hours today.
Oh, yeah. This show is not on right now.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So let me go look at another one.
Yeah. So they're
My show is
They're
the Geek News
likely-
Central still up.
they're likely having some database problems.
Maybe that's why they stopped getting submissions while they were moving things over. But it's weird because New Media Show and Geek News. See, I've got an account. I've got to contact their support. Apple, can you help me? GeekNewsCentral.com is not underneath my Apple ID. I know one of you guys are listening. Can you
Yeah,
help me with
Ted.
that? Ted, can you help me? Because this, it's under. We have a channel. Tech Podcast has a channel. The show's under the channel, but still we've got shows in that channel that the owners are still attached to those shows. But I can't even log into Apple Podcast and see this show's the Geek News Central. I can see New Media Show. I can't see Geek News Central show on that platform because my podcast was submitted over there before there was such a thing as a Apple ID.
Wow.
You just did it with an email or something, and who knows? But it's off in Neverland somewhere.
Yeah.
So I had logged in yesterday, so I'm wondering if because this show is underneath that login, that something in that transition. But I didn't touch any of the settings for the show. Some people had touched their settings. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, Oh, Okay. Well, I'm sure they're going to get that fixed because people are probably.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just a temporary
Oh,
disruption, I would imagine. But I guess Facebook is going to come out with a podcast player, I guess, that's going to integrate into Facebook somehow.
yep.
I don't think that we have an idea of exactly how this is going to work, but I can certainly envision something that could be done there that would be, you know, could be a good thing. You know,
Mhm.
I know that some folks out there, you know, in the tech journalism space have been speculating on this, you know, adding another kind of content area to the Facebook platform, right? You know, so you know, you have photos and podcasts and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So makes sense.
I,
So I don't know how you would submit to them, or are they just going to pull it directly out of Spotify? I'm assuming probably directly out of
yeah,
Spotify.
I'm sure. Sadly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how's that going to get measured? Or is that going to feed through so that we'll still get those stats? Or, you know, those are questions that I'm going to have.
Right. Are they going to be caching the content on their end?
Right. Because I guarantee the first thing I'm going to do as soon as I determine that they have put this together, I'm going to be hitting the play button on this show about 50 times and then going pulling log data and looking for it.
Trying to track it back. Yeah.
Yeah, see where it went. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
huh.
You know, yeah. Will it pull through the Spotify servers to us, or will it go directly to us? I think is an interesting question there, because if it pulls through Spotify servers, then Spotify can get that metrics, right?
Mhm.
But if it pulls directly on URLs to us, then they probably wouldn't be able to get that.
Right. I see all kinds of people are putting out newsletters. Daniel J. Lewis just dropped one in my inbox. Said, yesterday, Apple shared an online presentation, unveiled several new products. In the announcement, that took only a couple of minutes. Apple's making big moves, blah, blah, blah. First, don't panic. You may notice things are looking very strange in Apple Podcasts. My own podcast is actually missing. Well, yours and tens of thousands of others, I guess. So I got Mike on here. And are you guys getting tickets, Mike, on people freaking out that their stuff is missing off Apple Podcasts, or people don't even know? Here's the thing to look at, Rob. Let me get the app opened up. And let me see. Oh, it's still there. My show is still on, because you know what happens in Apple Podcasts. You subscribe. When you subscribe to your own feed. So if your subscribers are not, oh, wait a minute. Library. Yep. Let me click on that. Yep. Let me go back and find new media show. Click on that. Yep. It's there. Audio show. Click play. Yep. So you can still get it via the podcast app, Rob.
Which show?
Our show.
This show?
Via if you are subscribed to New Media Show.
Oh yeah, because that's part of your library.
It's just the directory that's down.
It's the directory that's down. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep. So Facebook is going to add a live audio platform too, Todd.
Well, I think we kind of knew that already, but them and 20 other people.
It's called Live Audio Rooms. It's going to be available, I guess, as part of Facebook groups.
Pages, I heard.
What's that?
I heard it's part of Pages.
Okay.
So there is a difference between a page and a group. So the question is it going to be tied to Pages, or is it going to, because we have a page. New Media Show has a page.
The resource that I'm seeing is saying that it's going to be available for Facebook groups and to public figures. With live audio, creators will be able to turn a live conversation into a podcast for everyone to listen to later, which sounds like there's going to be some sort of recording capability in here. So when you do it live, it records it, not unlike what we do with this show on Facebook, right? Yep. We do it live and then it's on replay.
So that's interesting development.
Yep.
Because we already put this show out as a podcast. Now the question is that going to be audio or audio and video?
I guess it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you would need to connect to both, I guess, somehow, if you were going to do it. And then also it's the metrics of it. Now, granted, we don't really have audio distribution on Facebook currently, so this would be additive on the audio side. But the question is, would we get back any listener metrics on that, or is that going to be in a separate dashboard that Facebook doesn't connect with any?
Well, they don't connect with anybody, so the answer to that already is
anyone.
No.
Right, and that wouldn't be connected with any publishing that occurs on our platform.
So, and if they make
our platforms,
so you know, you thought the Anchor thing was bad. You start allowing people to create audio content in Facebook and then submit that to Apple Podcasts and have that available as a series.
Well, if that happens, there's nobody saying that's going to happen, but they are using the term podcast.
Well, okay.
But I don't know that there's any history of Facebook basically allowing people to upload or create content in their platform and making it available outside of their platform.
Well, they just introduced something. They're under a lot of pressure, so they just introduced something last week, or maybe it was even Tuesday, and I'm still trying to find out the details on that. Supposedly, you can post to your WordPress site and, I got to go over to my website and look for this. They've decided to allow, okay, let me go over here and look. Let me just do a quick search for Facebook. Okay, Facebook now lets you transfer post. So you're going to be able to transfer post to Google Docs and, WordPress.com. So if you have a WordPress.com, not a self-hosted, well, maybe they don't know, but they're going to let you transfer post to Google Docs and WordPress. So if you wrote something prolific on Facebook, instead of cut and pasting, you'll be able to send that to Google Docs or a WordPress.com blog. So that's part of their Facebook data transfer tool.
Okay. So you could write something on Facebook and be able to publish it out to WordPress?
Right.
Is that the idea?
Yeah. Post to Google Docs, Blogger, and WordPress.com. Now, here's a challenge with that. If they use a standard API call from that WordPress allows you to post from an external system, that thing's fraught with security concerns. I've got that turned off. Matter of fact, I took that module out of my website just because someone could just they could delete, they could write, they could do havoc through that interface. So,
right.
But part of this is them trying to get ahead of legislation and regulations that might require data access. So they're trying to get ahead of that. But yeah, just imagine if Facebook allowed you to record a podcast on Facebook or a social group and then publish that as part of a regular series with an RSS feed. That would be pretty impactful, I think. That actually I think would be good for all of us. Because people would grow up and want their shows other places too. So
Right. The question is, would they enable, is that going to drive more live productions?
I'm sure it would. Yeah, here's the big challenge with all of this that's going on is that you're going to have to pick the platform where your audience is at.
Yeah, the podcasting space is getting more complex. Just put to you that way. It's not getting easier to explain to people. So in some ways, I think, Todd, from this is we are going to see more podcasters start in a more limited form. So there's going to be stair steps that people move through, right?
Maybe.
Probably more so than ever.
Yep.
because there's just so many choices. The proliferation of choices on how to create, how to publish, whether you're live, whether you're pre-recorded, whether you're premium, bonus content, all this stuff. It just creates just a rat's nest of
Adam Curry, look what you have
choices.
done. Look what you have done.
Right. It's all Adam's fault.
Oh,
All this.
this is
No,
nobody's fault. This is fantastic.
It's all good. It's all. I mean, he started something, is what he did, and this is it's grown up. Todd. I don't know that we really had any clue that we were going to come out of the pandemic with a completely different landscape for audio.
It's
than what's happened
it's
here.
not completely different. It's just grown.
Well, it's the landscape of it has just exponentially, I mean, changed and developed and consolidated. And I mean, it's the fundamentals of podcasting really haven't changed that much, but the industry and the participation and the platforms that are involved is, that's what's really just been amazing.
I've always said the 800-pound gorillas were coming, and they are here.
Yeah.
So, but I think what you also have is people are very suspicious of Facebook right now. Same with Twitter. They're doing some things even right now that people are like, "You're kidding me."
Right.
They're still shadow banning people. They say they don't do it. It's absolutely true. They do. They're taking down content that they're making a judgment call on, and it's not just pandemic stuff.
Well, I think they're doing subtle tactics to punish their users that are doing things that they don't like. Yeah.
I think that's a right.
Some examples of that too.
You look at what's happened recently with Veritas. Like them or not, they do those undercover videos. And they recently did an undercover video where they caught the CNN guy talking about how some bigwig at CNN talking about how they had this agenda, openly admitting he was under a hidden camera, and they posted it. And it was damning, very, very damning. And Twitter and Facebook, well, Twitter removed the guy's account. Facebook has already banned them. So what you have then, and again, that's a conservative group, so we'll just put it in that little pile.
Right.
But you have liberal groups that are doing stuff too. It's equally crazy in what they're doing here. So I continue to say, podcasting is the last bastion of free speech and the last bastion of being able to take and keep control. We have to keep hitting this home. You may never, ever have a problem on Facebook. You might be good forever. You might never say nothing that trips a community guideline censor, but the second you do, you're gone. And you have no recourse to get back online. So distribution is good. It continues to be fantastic that we're going to be out in these other places. But you might have to start self-censoring yourself on topics you talk about if you want to be on certain platforms. We're seeing that on the master of the takedown right now is Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and not just music.
Yeah.
They're taking a lot of content down. So.
Yeah. What can you say about that? Apple takes a lot of stuff down too, but it's not for the same reasons quite as much, right?
I have never, ever gotten an announcement from Apple of content being taken down. Maybe they don't inform us. Maybe they just take content down.
Take it down, right? Yep.
So, but again, I think, don't get me wrong. Todd being a conspiracy theorist. anywhere we can get our content is good for all of us. We're on Facebook Live right now. I'm surprised they haven't shuttered
A little
us.
bit of a cautionary tale here that we need to talk about too, which is as these big social platforms get into the space more and more and try and, I hate to use this term, but siphon off the content, right?
Yep.
Where the content creators are moving over to their platform because they're seeing a momentum happening over here around free speech, that they get more and more control over this medium. Which is going to be hard for them to control this medium.
Well,
even at the scale that Facebook's at, they can't control.
RSS is under attack
podcasting.
again.
Yeah,
By the by the CEO of Anchor.
Oh yeah, I saw that quote. Yeah, it's yeah.
Oh, we're real happy with it, but there's always a but.
Michael's comment about how RSS is too limiting. I think that's been Adam Curry's argument too. Right.
But so why doesn't Michael go start in bring the power of Anchor to that initiative that Adam Curry and that team are doing?
Because I'm not entirely sure that he and Adam are really talking about the same thing.
Well, of course, because what kind of expansion do they want? Because that's the thing that's in between the lines. Okay, RSS is not powerful enough. All right, what exactly? Give me the 5 things. You're going to make a comment like that, then give me 5 things. Put the 5 top things you want added to RSS and put it on the table. Put it on the table. Don't talk around it. If I want something, Rob, if you want something, you and I talk. I was big. I wanted the ability to have an RSS tag for transcripts. Wanted it, got it, along with a lot of other people. Wanted 2 or 3 other tags who talked about it. I wanted it, pushed it forward, got it. And a lot of the people agreed. It wasn't just me. Some other people are saying the same thing. So if you want something added to RSS, then put your money where your mouth is and say what you want. Quit talking.
Yeah, but he didn't say that.
No.
I mean, he didn't say anything about extending RSS.
Well, he says it's not powerful enough. So what is missing?
Right.
Control is what's missing.
The answer was
control.
What the answer was.
Right. Control is what's missing.
So, Todd, another thing to think about too in all this is, as the perception of Spotify and Apple become the co-power brokers in the medium, right? We may come to a point where Spotify starts throwing its weight around these things as much as Apple has to some degree in the past, right?
Well,
where they start dictating what those tags are and what, that may be what we are getting set up for here.
The sleeping giant, which Apple won't shutter from Google, but Google can have an equally, they are making, at least on our platform, they're number 2. So
is this going to be the new area of battle between the platforms?
I don't think Google wants to battle. I think Google just wants to make podcasts available. Google so far.
Well, it's not a market share game.
I'm taking a deep breath here. Google knows they can win. They know they can win this game. But they're being a good steward so far. And they're helping podcasters. They're helping the space. They're helping the space more by volumes than anyone else is. From an accessibility standpoint, discovery standpoint, all of that.
Well, Todd, if you think about it, I believe Apple is building their own search engine. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah. So you think about that part of it. Apple is separating themselves from Google. Any kind of integration there.
Because I think Apple probably pays Google.
Right. To have access to their search engine on their devices.
Apple needs to fix SIRI. maybe that's the licensing they need to go out, is replace SIRI with Google, because that thing sucks.
Well,
Having two phones, sorry, Android wins. So
well, in a lot of ways, Android already has one, Todd. So let's
yeah.
call a spade here.
Well, a lot of people will argue that, but especially Apple will. But
argue against that.
Right,
is
right,
what you're
right.
saying, right.
So, but
Right.
ultimately, though, as podcasters, we want these folks to keep promoting podcast.
Well, and we want to get access to that 80% of device owners out there.
That's right.
I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't seen the latest numbers, and I don't think it's maybe even possible anymore to get the latest breakdown of consumption on Android versus iOS now.
I'm
Whether
sure you
we've
can.
Well, see, the problem is, Todd, we don't have access to aggregated industry numbers.
Okay, so there is a company
So-
called Counterpoint Search,
Right.
and
Yeah, surveys and stuff, but
well,
that's
no,
not actual
they
data.
have data. They have market share data. And let's see here. Can I find this? Oh, this is 2018, 2020. This is old.
No, I'm talking about podcast consumption
Oh. Podcast consumption.
on the devices. Yeah, I know that
Oh,
we have the OS breakdowns, but the podcast consumption across the whole industry, we don't know. I mean, I think each one of us have done presentations where we present our numbers, and I think for many years, when we do that, I think the industry says, well, that's what the number is, right, for the industry, because we're big players in the industry. But I think more recently, it's been shown that there's big discrepancies now between hosting platforms on the distribution. And it's not bad. It's just the nature of it.
And we've been reached out to by an individual, said that they were willing to do the collective data crunching and would sign NDAs, but
Really? So there is a group out there
not a
that's
group, an individual.
just an individual.
Just an individual. But I think that I and you would like, well, challenges there is you have to have no conflicts.
Right. It's got to
So-
be a separate entity.
Yeah, you can't
Nonprofit.
have any relationship with any other hosting platform, whether it be through consulting, affiliation, affiliate programs, all that stuff. It's just you can't.
Right.
So it has to be an entity. Probably has to be a company.
Right. That is locked down by legal documents all around it.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't allow any information out that isn't controlled by the people that are submitting their data to it.
Yeah.
Right. There's a limit on what's shared in exchange for access to the data.
Yeah.
So that needs to happen. I mean, I'm still pushing, Todd. I still want to see an industry association of some sort that can help facilitate some of this stuff. And I was hoping the Podcast Academy could serve that role, and maybe it still will. I don't know. I think it's still a little bit up in the air whether or not that organization will extend itself into a broader
Well, the
scope.
The Podcast Academy can't do the measurement.
No, I'm not saying that either. I'm just speaking more broadly about there's issues now starting to come up more and more where there's advocacy issues, there's legal issues, there's bringing together data to further the industry's interests, not unlike what the NAB does for radio and television.
Yep.
So, there is a need for this, and for some reason we just can't get it together to get it done. So, I'm still pushing on it in the various resources that I have to push for something to be formed. But
It's going to take somebody like you or me
Right.
or some other
Well,
of the other
I'm pushing.
hundred. No, this is what's going to it's going to take. It's going to take one of the 100 or so plus so-called leaders in the podcasting space. Someone's going to have to step away from whatever position they hold, form an organization, and build it. That's the
Right.
only way this is going to work.
Yeah.
It's going
Right.
to take someone.
Preferably, it would be somebody that is not in a role like you and I have.
Well, and say they would have to, I would have to resign and step away from the business and go
Right.
start up a new company. But
Right.
I would still have a conflict because I hold stock. So
Right.
I'm still a stockholder. So there's still a conflict there. So
So I have somebody in mind for this, but it's just convincing them.
I know
do
who you're thinking about.
it.
I think
And
he has enough on his plate already
he does, and that's part of the issue, right?
because this is a full-time. This is and plus they need a lot of money. This is not a cheap. You're going to have 4 or 5 people at least,
right.
and
Yeah.
at normal salaries and benefits. And so will the podcasting space step up to the tune of $500,000 or $750,000 a year to get this thing up and running, and then
I think it can be done.
well, I think it can too, but it's not
we
going to
did
be.
it with the Podcast Academy, so
It's
I
not
don't
going to
know why we
be.
couldn't do it with
It's going to can't be it's going to have to be a for-profit, because if you want someone to invest, I don't know. I think that. How did the NAB start?
I don't know.
So
That's a
you
good
have to go back and
question
look
to
at the
ask.
history and figure out, someone had a vision that says there needs to be a National Association of Broadcasters. I'm going to form it. Why did I do the podcast awards? Well, someone's got to do the podcast awards. That's why I started the podcast awards.
Right. Right.
And the headaches that go along with it, and the financial challenges that go along with it. So I think it has to be a for-profit. IAB is a for-profit company. It's not a nonprofit. Most people don't know that.
Right. It can certainly be set up that way.
Right.
Right.
So
And it's certainly easier to set it up that way.
right. It's definitely easier. But then again, you have to have enough anonymity. You have to have enough authority, one, and enough anonymity. Is that the even word? I tell you who would be a good position for this. Here's who needs to be okay, he's going to say, I'll never do this. Okay. He'll never do this because of what he does now. But
Don't eat me, Tom Webster.
I think you should be the person he'd be the perfect person to start a podcast association.
Boy,
He's trusted in the space. There's nobody that doesn't trust Tom.
right. That's true.
Don't eat me, Tom Webster.
Like I said, that is going to be so useful.
So, but Tom's got a job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a good one.
Yeah,
That's
good
the thing.
one. And he loves doing what he does.
Right.
Why would he want to have to start herding cats?
Right. I think he would be good at it.
I think
actually.
he'd be great.
Yeah. Tom, you're being recruited.
No, he would be if I was to vote across the space, he's at the top of my list on who would be good to start a podcaster association.
I can think of another guy, but yeah,
I
he's
can
up
too. But
there. Right.
again, if we're thinking about the same person, I don't.
In a better place
Uh,
right now. To do it.
maybe.
But I don't. Yeah.
So Dan, are you ready to step up?
Oh, jeez.
I don't have a jingle for you.
No, but I think we should get one.
We're talking about Dan Franks.
Yeah.
He'd be another
Wow.
good one. But again, Dan's running a convention. He's running a show. Does he want? Why would he? They've got a great business. Why would he do? Why would Tom do this? But it would take a
Well, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Doesn't. What do you say? It doesn't have to be solely on their shoulders. It can be inside of their organization. Now,
I don't think so.
Tom's-
I don't think it could be inside of either of those organizations. It would have to be new organizations because there's commercial conflicts until you've got sponsor.
Yeah, I guess it depends on which part we're talking about here. If we're just talking about an association,
Right.
but if we're talking about this data aggregation play,
well,
I agree. That's probably a separate thing.
Tom might be the actual top mate. Hey, you guys want to do that, Tom? You guys want to do data aggregation? Get real number. I know you guys do survey data, but would you like?
Well, isn't Podchaser trying to do some of that?
I don't think so, but we'll have to ask the Podchaser folks. But they're doing attribution and host and this kind of stuff, so it can't be a measurement company, because then we get all insights into we have pretty much insights in everybody else already to a certain extent. At least we do.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's not the same stuff.
Right.
I can't tell you what breakdown Podbean has between Apple Podcasts. And here's the question: does anybody care really about that? It's us that wants to know that. That's our curiosity wants to know.
Well, it just seems at some point it's going to seem silly that we don't have it.
Right. That's true too.
Every other medium has that kind of data.
Well,
just the fact that we don't have it doesn't bode well for us.
Yeah, we joked about this before, but the radio stuff is really accurate, Rob.
Yeah. Well, I heard a quote from the CEO or the Beasley CEO saying that radio is just fine, Todd. You know that?
For now.
Radio's just doing great.
If I owned, are they still in the radio business?
Beasley? Yeah.
Okay. If I was in the radio business, I'd be saying the same thing. And no one else would be able to tell me otherwise. Are we, if podcasting takes a decline, are we going to say here, the sky is falling? No, we're going to say podcasting's fine. We're still growing. It's steady.
Better than ever.
We're good.
I think that there has been some people that have said that is this social audio thing a threat to podcasting?
A segment of people are going to go and chase. If you went fishing, you go fishing, you go with a lure box, right?
Well, my comeback with it is that it's like saying that live is going to somehow overtake on demand in the digital world, right?
So you go fishing, and you use a lure, and you troll that thing 25 times, you get no bites, so that lure sucks. Let me put a new shiny lure on here, and see if we get a hit. And this is what this really is people, and sometimes there's a shiny object, let's go chase it, and they chase it, and we have seen who usually is the people. We had this happen in podcasting. All the entrepreneurs and all these people that could get rich and make money schemes and had the master plans on how to build business. They saw podcasting not so many years ago as that shiny object, and we had this huge influx of those people. They came in, and guess where they're at now? They're gone.
They're all over in Clubhouse.
They're all over in Clubhouse. So social audio, as Mike says in the chat, is its own thing and will remain its own thing. So we'll see.
Right. I don't know about the crossover between these two things. I know it keeps coming up. Facebook keeps saying, social audio and podcasting and all this stuff. And these worlds are colliding. I think people see the word audio and they immediately blend everything together as the same thing.
I just, for the average podcaster, they barely have enough time to do their episode, get it edited, get everything put out, and still live life.
Right.
Because
I mean, you
90
got Twitter Spaces, you got Discord, you got Reddit now is talking about it.
you got
About
95
doing, yeah.
you got 95% of the podcasters are doing this out of their closet.
Right.
So
And then
they can only they're going to look over there for a little while.
it's the same thing with Clubhouse. What's going to happen to Clubhouse? You know, I hear people say that it's doomed just because of the onslaught of all these bigger companies.
I don't think
I
it's
don't know.
doomed. I think they've got a probably pretty good future over there, but I
Well,
don't have
they've got
time.
some level of first mover advantage over there,
Yeah.
but you know, and a lot of loyal users to some degree. I guess time will tell. I mean, next month is Android app month for Clubhouse. I'm
Oh, so
expecting
that'd be
that to
interesting.
change the dynamics over there. And then they just launched ticketing and tip jar functionality. So I'm getting paid over
Right.
there on Stripe to participate in sessions over there.
You're getting paid?
Yeah, I get tips from people
Oh.
ba-
Where
based on
at?
my participation.
We're at on Clubhouse?
Yeah.
Oh, Rob. She looks like that's way to go. That's going to be your have you okay. I have to bust
Well, I
this.
haven't paid off any cars yet, Todd.
All right,
So just
but
puts you that way.
have you put your resume in over at Clubhouse yet? You
My
know,
resume? No, I'm not putting my resume in over to Clubhouse.
you work for everybody else, so I figured
I might as well. And then,
Lori's listening to the show and telling me,
Right.
Be quiet.
I don't think she's listening.
Well, she should.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's a changing world we're in, Todd, and spring is coming.
Yes, it is.
Podcast movement's coming. Dan did tell me, I talked to him recently, that he's willing to come on the show.
Oh, good.
It's here, so maybe next Wednesday we can have Mr. Danny Boy on.
All right.
Talking about what he's planning and what he sees coming. The comments I heard from him, just to give a little teaser here, is that people are signing up.
Beautiful.
To go. Sponsors are lining up. Things are starting to come together for the event. So he's got just as much speaker submissions as he had prior to the pandemic. So, you know, things are looking positive, right?
Outstanding.
It's a fantastic venue that he's holding this thing at. It's probably the best venue in the country, in my opinion. I've been there before, and I think everybody's going to love it. So I'm definitely looking forward to going back.
So one suggestion on your set, Rob, every time I look at you through the monitor now, I see those two purple things back there, and I think they're monitors. I don't know why. It's only one lamp, but the way the reflection is, it looks like you've got two monitors over there behind you that it's just an optical illusion for me.
Oh, yeah, right.
So if I put you up front and center, it looks like a lamp.
Yeah, well, it is a lamp. That's
right,
why.
right. But if I look to you through this thing here, it's like, what the heck? And then I can see.
I know what I should do. I should get some sort of printout there that says something right there. It can be like it's a monitor thing, right?
I do have the ability to put a black cursor over anything that you put up.
I'm surprised you haven't used it already, Todd.
No, I haven't blocked the Libsyn sign yet. So,
and I haven't seen a blueberry sign behind you quite yet.
Yeah, there's no one. Yeah, there's not. It's hanging in the other room. So.
Oh, that's a good place for it. Just leave it over there.
It's big. It's a big one. It's not a small one. So it doesn't fit real well in here. I could just put it on the monitor back there. That'll solve it.
There you go. That would be
yeah.
That would be the thing to do.
You sitting right on top of the blueberry logo. But have we run out of stuff to say? I think we're close to an hour 30
I
here.
think so. I think we wrapped it up.
Yeah. Here's
So-
another little jingle that they produced for us. Let's see here if I can do the. Let's play this for everybody.
Afternoon delight.
With Todd and Rob. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
And then here's one of the new slogans for the show.
In the afternoon with Todd and Rob, baby.
Yeah, baby. What we need is
Yeah, baby.
we need the Steve Austin baby. I mean, that's what we
Baby.
need.
That's right. The baby.
Baby. So yeah,
Yep.
we're having fun with these little clips here. We've the only one we didn't go through today. We'll save that one for another day. So, actually, there's two we didn't get. So it's all right.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of them we haven't
Yeah.
used yet. So we have to decide actually
Oh.
which one of these intros are we going to use going forward, because we're probably going to use both of them. So
Well, we can
right.
interchange and we can play with them.
So
mix it up.
vote for one or vote for two. So I'm going to play the first one, and then we'll play the second one, and you vote which one you want us to use.
Welcome to the New Media Show, where each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, UTC +4, Todd Cochran and Rob Greenlee take their over 30 combined years of leadership in the podcasting space to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct the current podcasting news, forecasts, trends, and predictions. Now here are your hosts, Academy of Podcasting Hall of Famers, Todd Cochran and Rob Greenlee.
All right. And then, okay, that's one you just played.
With Todd and Rob.
See,
Oh
they,
yeah.
they throw that in there at the end. That's how I got screwed up earlier. So
Yeah. So which one of those do you like? I kind of like the short one, actually, because it's short.
yeah, we'll play around with it. We're not playing every episode, so
Right. Right.
because I every once in a while on my show I'll play my intro too, and then I do it once or twice, and I start getting hate email. They're like, "Come on."
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Short is important.
Yeah. So if you want to
So-
submit a jingle to us, Todd or Rob, it's we'd love to have it. I'm Todd at blueberry.com. I'm at Geek News on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter as well at Rob Greenlee, and you can send me an email if you want, robg@lipson.com.
And again, we're not here with you on Saturday. I did, Rob, enjoy my Saturday. I got a full day of productive work. It was fantastic. I didn't even
Yep.
sleep in. It was good. So again, we'll be back here Wednesday at 3 next week. Again, if you have comments on the show, please send them to us.
Yes, please.
And anyway, we're out of here. So Rob, we'll see you next Wednesday. And thanks everybody for watching the live stream today. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks.
We'll see you. Bye bye.